Say something.
Well, it's another typical evening with us. Welcome to Haunted Housewives with Tish.
And Lily.
And tonight we are going to talk about...
family-friendly haunts. Or,
yeah.
family-friendly, yeah.
Family-friendly.
Yes.
Which is an interesting concept when you think about it in the context of haunted attractions.
It is. And initially when we said family-friendly, immediately I thought children. But, yeah. I mean, I guess not necessarily.
Yeah, and we'll get to that because I can think of a few places that I would characterize as family-friendly without being kiddie haunts.
Yes. Yeah, honestly, most of them. Because, I mean, really, we found out that we enjoyed them.
We should start off talking about our journey to family-friendly haunts and how we learned to love family-friendly haunted attractions.
Yes, because it was way early on, but not in the very beginning. You know, at first, you have that first year where you're like, are we doing this thing? I don't know. And so you're slowly, you know, we went to
Which is also the principle on which we're doing this, clearly. I mean,
we do most things.
We have a microphone, we have a light now.
Right.
One of these days we'll actually have something
we'll be organized,
professional manner.
Yes. But we're just going in.
Are we doing this? Yeah. So yeah, the first year we started reviewing haunted attractions, it was kind of selective.
Yeah, and also we didn't go far. No. We were like, oh gosh, we're not driving an hour. Which is so funny to think about.
My, how times have changed.
I know. And then, I guess we never really discussed how many we would go to.
No.
Because the first year, I want to say we did 12.
That sounds right.
And to most people, that's a lot of haunts to go to in a season. Mm-hmm. But, I think we did about 12 the first year. And then the second year, I think we did decide we wanted to do more. Yeah. But we were looking for scarier haunts.
Yeah, we both like to research. Mm-hmm. So we would read reviews on Google. We would read anything that haunted attractions said about themselves to try to get a sense of whether a place was going to be really scary. And that was our initial focus. How scary is it? Is it worth driving a whole hour to see this place?
Oh no, it's an hour and 10 minutes. Should we do it? Is it worth it? Let's spend hours reading all the reviews we can find, everything everybody said, and still not know.
And then debating. But what happened as we moved into doing haunt reviews more seriously and more consistently was we realized that consistently looking for a particular level of scary wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
For one thing, we will talk about this more in the future. What is scary is really subjective.
Yes.
What scares one person isn't going to scare someone else. So constantly looking for the scariest haunt.
Yeah. Which is what was wrong with the reviews. You know, a lot of people that thought something wasn't scary or thought something was super scary, we would go and have a different opinion. And I think that's why we just kept reading them thinking they were going to come to some consensus. And they never did.
But I think our second year, we really started expanding the kinds of places that we visited. And that meant going to places that were more family friendly.
Yeah, I think 16 was our first year. We were figuring things out. 17, we were looking for the scariest. 18, I want to say we just wanted more experiences. I just remember thinking, let's go to as many places as we can go. That I think we still weren't going super far anyway, but I think we maybe moved it up to an hour and a half. Maybe a little bit further, but I think we decided to put as many haunts as we could and just go and just see what they were like and not, I mean, we still researched because we still want to know what we're going to, but we didn't we didn't judge them specifically on that. If it said it's a family friendly hayride, we were going to go and see what it was like.
And that really, it opened our eyes to the ways that different places were putting on really fun, really worthwhile attractions that might satisfy a different demographic, that might appeal to different tastes than some of the more extreme, scary, dark, gory, grim,
or people that advertise
places.
themselves that way, because they weren't necessarily, sometimes places advertise themselves as super, super scary, and all places have their moments where something might be super scary, but overall it might not be. And also, again, everybody has their own opinion on what is super scary and what isn't.
So what would you say are some characteristics of a family-friendly haunt?
Probably, they're probably a little bit less in your face, I would say. I would, like, for family events, like small children, I think that would be something that was scary to them. Maybe not so gory. I think maybe some of the possession stuff would probably go over their heads. I don't know, depending on the age. But the aggressiveness, I think, makes a difference. But there are haunts that offer necklace
there are
for children.
Places, there are places, when we talk about family friendly, we could probably group that into separate categories. There are places that are definitely more geared to, I don't want to say younger audiences.
Yeah, it's not younger.
but more of a family experience.
Yeah.
And then there are places that can be pretty intense and pretty scary, but that offer a sort of stepped down experience. Say you want to go to someplace like Freddy's Haunts, which is an indoor haunted trail in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Freddy's Haunts can be pretty intense. They will stick chainsaws in an indoor trail, in an enclosed space. But they have offered also glow necklaces. If you don't want to be messed with, you can put on a glow necklace and signal that you don't want
scared.
to be. You're scared. You don't want to be approached in a certain way. There are other haunted attractions that offer that kind of experience as well. If you want to go with, a younger child or a nervous, it doesn't even have to be a child, just somebody who's nervous.
True.
And you want to make sure that they don't have a bad experience.
Yeah.
Plenty of places offer that kind of option.
Yeah. There are probably two things to be aware of with that, though. One thing would be, if you're planning on taking somebody and they're nervous and scared, and you know this place offers a glow necklace and you think it'll be fine, remember that there are other people in there with you that may traumatize the child or the person you're with. We've had it happen a few times where we just happened to be grouped in. There were a couple times where we were grouped in with children who were scared and nervous, and the adults tell them, "Don't worry, they're just actors. It's fine.
Make believe. There's nothing to worry about." And then some lunatic with a taser pops out from behind a curtain, and we're both like,
scream. We run off, and then the child's crying, like, "What happened to those people?
Why are those? Why are those two grown women losing their minds and running if there's nothing to be scared of?"
Yes. So you might be able to explain away the actors, but not so much the other patrons. And then another time we had, and I don't know, it's just for everyone to be aware of. We've been grouped in with scared children who weren't with us. They were with another group. We got grouped in, and it happened to us one time. It was the first time we went to this haunt, and we had no idea what it was really supposed to be like, because every room, every scene we went into, the actor was like, "Oh, hey, buddy, give me a high five. We were all cool here." So we never got to see what was happening in each. And maybe that's our fault. Like nowadays, I think we would say,
Yeah,
"I'm sorry.
that was
Can
fairly
we
early
be grouped with somebody else or go by ourselves?" But like now we know what happens, and you can't really get a fair.
So that's an interesting point that I think we've made in our written reviews, and I think it kind of escapes people that the kind of haunted attraction you're going to may govern how intense or scary it is. Like, there are a lot of places that are actor-driven haunts.
Yeah. Yes.
Where the actors are super aware if there's somebody who's frightened, if there's a young child, and they're
in control of that scene.
They'll
and,
gear their performance to ensure that nobody walks out traumatized. And they're very careful about it because they don't want somebody to have a bad time. They don't want to be responsible for scarring your 8-year-old for life. So they're very careful in the way they approach. If you go to a place that has lots of animatronics, that is based on, technology and timing, it's going to be a
where
lot
there can't
harder.
Be a variation. It's
going to be a lot harder for them to sort of soften the scares. And I'm thinking about Wells Township. Wells Township in Brilliant, Ohio is it's a fun house.
Yes.
It is a fun house. They design all of this technology. They have rooms that move. They have they do,
and everything is super timed. Like the actors move in time with things
lighting and sound. And while it's not an especially gory haunt, and it's certainly not, an adult-themed haunt, they will even tell you before you go in, watch your language in front of our actors, because many of the actors are volunteer kids from the local high school. And, the people who run the haunt want to encourage volunteerism among young people in the community. So they're like, don't swear in front of the kids. Yeah. Which we don't always we don't always do that very successfully. But it's not super, adult themed. It's not really gory, but it's intense.
Yes. Yes.
And we've seen people walk out of there. We've seen people have to stop and be escorted out because even though it's not, hyper bloody, it's an intense experience.
It is, yeah. Yep.
And they don't, because of the nature of the haunt, they can't really soften those edges.
Yeah. I mean, if the actor can see a small child that's scared, they can maybe try to avoid them, but I mean, they would have to go out of their way in the dark. Like, it would just, the chances are they probably cannot. We've been through there with some kids who handled it pretty well, so.
Yeah, we've been through there with some kids who not our children, who are holding onto our hands.
That's true. We became mama.
Yeah. So look into what kind of place you're visiting. I mean, we'll always tell you, if you're going to a haunted attraction, research it, because most places don't want to trick you into thinking that their trail or house is something that it isn't. They want you to have a good time. They want you to say good things about the haunt when you come out.
Yeah, and they will tell you, even if you don't, going to their website is always a good idea, because they will give you a little bit of an idea what the vibe is like, or if they're going to spray you with fake blood, or, do some kind of anything out of the ordinary that you would think would happen. They will definitely tell you ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah, if somebody's telling you, we're really in your face and we're really intense, maybe don't bring your sensitive small child to that that haunted attraction.
Yeah, because more often than not, we've seen crying kids have to be carried out because I I think
We've seen
the parents
crying
think,
adults.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But,
People
yeah.
wet their pants all the time.
Yeah, it's perfectly
People.
It's perfectly normal to wet your pants in a haunt. Do not
Make
feel
it
ashamed
normal.
of it. Normalize peeing yourself in a haunt for no special reason.
You can quote us on that.
Yeah. Depends. We're looking for sponsors this way. But so look for places that are actor driven, or places that advertise themselves as, fun for the whole family.
Yes.
And there are places that will do that.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily, if it's a hayride, it's not necessarily a family-friendly hayride, because some of them are super intense and super scary, and they could do a lot of things that you don't realize.
But with that said, I would say a hayride is a good option. Hayride is a good option for sort of an entry-level haunted attraction. If you're looking for something that you want to take a kid to and you kind of want to feel things out, for one thing, you're in a very large group. Typically, when you're on a hayride, you're with 20 other people. Whereas if you're walking through a haunted house or a haunted trail, it can be just you and your family, and that sense of isolation, that sense of being away from other people, can be a little scary. Hayrides, you've got a bunch of people around you.
Flying through the woods.
Flying through the woods.
And the actors may climb
onto the wagon. A lot of the hayrides in this area have these huge frames around the wagons so that their monsters can climb up onto the frames. I knew that, like, Allen's Haunted Hayride, which is, I think, the oldest haunted hayride in the nation, started the trend, has crazy athletic people who will, fling themselves onto the wagon.
Yes, that is awesome. Plus, their Tavern of Terror is super, super creepy.
The Tavern of Terror is it's about a 10-15 minute walk through. It used to be their old dairy. Was that it?
Oh, okay.
And they've turned it into this really fun little haunted house. And many of the actors in there are pretty young, but boy, do they throw themselves into it.
So
but, their actors are very, very athletic. Lonesome Valley Farms has a very intense hayride.
Yes.
It's super fun, but that's another one where there's very athletic.
That was the drive-through too, wasn't it?
That was the drive-through during COVID.
You would think that it wouldn't be. we thought that would be more of a family-friendly type thing, and sometimes you don't even realize you're like putting your foot on the gas until
speeding through the farm. Duda's Haunted Farm has they started 2 years ago? Are they in their second year?
This is maybe third year.
Yeah. And they have a really fun hayride. So
Fright Farm.
Fright Farm has though Fright Farm, you go on the hayride and then you walk through all of these other haunted attractions, and multiple. They are those are intense. But generally, I would say a haunted hayride is a nice introduction. And I've seen it, like at Allen's, I feel like the actors are very aware of the little kids who are super scared and, try to be sensitive to that. I don't think I saw any kids when we were at Duda's. We were...
Cheeseman was a good one for kids.
Cheeseman's is a really...
family-friendly.
There's a good family-friendly haunt because it is scary and inventive. I mean, they have a hayride. It's funny.
Yeah, we had such a good time when we went.
Yeah, there's like little tents that are just full of like colored smoke and creatures coming at you through the smoke. And it's sort of the right level of scary where you walk through it and you feel like you've accomplished something, which is part of the fun of going to a haunted attraction. You've faced your fears. You've come out on the other side. And you're not completely like traumatized by the images that you saw.
Yes.
So we're missing another family friendly, and it's a different definition of family friendly. Castle Blood.
Yes, that is definitely family friendly. They can definitely cater a little bit, but they don't necessarily need to. It's not in your face, but you interact with them.
That is, it's almost more of a combination sort of theatrical experience, escape room, where you walk through what used to be this old funeral home, a century-old funeral home in Monessen, or as our GPS likes to call it, Monessen. And you interact with these different monsters. You have to solve puzzles that the monsters pose for you. And it's scripted, though the actors are all very good at improv. They're very good at banter and kind of going back and forth. There are some jump scares. They have things in the walls that'll pop out at you. But it's not gory. It's not,
it's beautiful.
Extreme. It's beautiful. And the idea is sort of like putting you in the middle of, an Addams Family dinner and having to interact with the members of the family. And because it's an actor-driven haunt too, they also they gauge their performances to the response from the people that they're...
And they're very good at... a lot of their shtick is to insult mortals, but they're also very...
We're stupid.
We are. I can't argue with them. They're very good at inviting scared people or children into the story and helping them be involved in it, even if they're scared. I think it's a great introduction.
It's sort of, without saying there's nothing here to be scared of, it shows that there's nothing here to be scared of. It's sort of sympathy for all the monsters. What do you do if, say you're a parent who takes your child to a haunted attraction and they are terrified?
Well, if I felt the need to bring my child, first of all, if I knew that my child was terrified of these things and I thought, I'm going to expose them to it and they won't be scared anymore. I would definitely talk to them ahead of time about what was going to happen, what it was going to look like, what it was going to smell like, how the actors would act and how the people around them would act. Because, I think that's another thing. I can explain, okay, these actors are going to do this thing, but, there's going to be people who are scared. They go to be afraid. They like to be afraid. It's fun for them. They enjoy it.
And by them, we mean us.
Yes, so you will see these people, and it's okay. They're having their own experience, and you can have your own experience. But in the middle of the haunt, I guess it depends on how intense my child's reaction was. Because if it was pretty bad, we'd probably just leave, do one of the exits and try again next year, or try again another time, or try a different haunt. There's just like with adults, there's different things that are scary. Some kids terrified of clowns, and you go somewhere with 8 million clowns.
Don't take them to West Alexander. Scare at the fair. 8 million clowns.
Just not that barn.
Skip the clown barn. It's so interesting to me because I was that terrified child the first time I went. So when I was 8 years old, my parents took me to this haunted house that was run by a church. This is before the Satanic Panic of the 80s. This is how I'm old enough that I'm pre-Satanic Panic. And it was a really well done sort of rural haunted house, and it scared the living daylights out of me. I was completely like terrified, like clinging to my dad's leg, you know, like not looking up. And in retrospect, should they have taken me to the scary haunted house when I was 8? Probably not. But it stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's something to be, like, you made it through. Like, you were handling it. Like, you weren't falling on the floor, sobbing, screaming, you know, like, you were handling it, but you were terrified.
Yeah.
And
and I remember, you know, going to class the following Monday, going to school and talking to my friends about having been through this haunted house. Did you see the Frankenstein monster? You know. So I think there's value if you have kids who are curious about this in, you know, talking to them about it, taking them to a place that they can experience it and they can feel safe.
And if it's part of your lives already. Yeah. If you're a family who likes scary stories, scary movies, and you already kind of do that kind of stuff, it's just a natural.
I mean, it's part of, it really is, honestly, part of our origin story. Yeah. Because it started with our kids wanting to go to a haunted attraction, and they had looked at videos online, they had done their research, but they wanted us to go through in person.
Yeah, and tell them
what it was like.
What was there, yeah.
Is it really scary?
Yeah.
Is it really...
And which is another thing you can do.
Yeah. Send a scouting party ahead of time. Right? And
I initially thought it was going to be all children. That was one of the things in the very beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, there are not going to be any adults there, because last time I went, I was a young teenager. So, but we were pleasantly surprised. I mean, there's some places that definitely have the young population. They're just popular with the younger population, but most places we go to have people of all ages.
Yeah. There's everywhere from, you know, the occasional pretty small child to people our age and older, going through haunted attractions. And, you know, I think that it's like going on a roller coaster. It's confronting fear safely.
Yes, exactly.
And it's exhilarating.
Yes.
It's fun. So if you have family members who are interested this Halloween season, take a look around. We're in the Western Pennsylvania area. Pennsylvania and Ohio have more haunted attractions than anywhere else. I think Ohio has, 130?
I think so.
And Pennsylvania is...
like 105?
Yeah, something like that. We're not far behind.
No.
So there are lots of options, and there will be something out there for you.
Yeah.
There's going to be something that suits your taste, that your kids will enjoy.
Yeah, and we do try to put in our reviews, you know, whether it's child friendly or what could be, you know, somewhat of a scare for somebody who's sensitive to scares.
Yeah.
Also, you can ask us.
Yeah.
You know.
So
we'll let you know.
If you have suggestions for great family-friendly haunts in especially West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, drop a comment, let us know. We're always looking for new places to visit. And we will be back. And what do we want to talk about next week?
I don't know. Didn't think about it yet.
We'll be back next week. We'll
Because we love talking cons. Yes.
We do. And who knows? We have a microphone, we have lights. Next week, we might really get our act together. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you
See you
back
next
here.
time.
Bye.
Bye.